All right, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Pump Fake. Jarrett Bailey here, joined by the one and only Grant Cohn. It's good to see you, my friend. I know we've tried to do this a few times before, but it's good to finally do this with you.
Yeah, now that we're actually officially coworkers.
Yeah, we are. By the way, thanks for that.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you for joining the team.
Oh, hey,
Big
not a
addition.
problem.
Yes.
So let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers while we're at it. So I don't know if you saw, but I tweeted out a tier list the other day that
Okay.
that made the fan
I
base not
did see
happy.
it. I
Yeah,
did see it. It seemed fair. I don't remember it, but it seemed fair to me.
Yeah, no, I had them as the just missing the playoffs tier, and I think that a few people, more than a few people, I think that a lot of people assume that that meant, oh my goodness, the 49ers are going to be a 5-win team, they're going to be god awful. It's not what I meant. I
Right.
think, and I'll get your opinion on this. I think that it's going to be similar to last year, as to which I think they'll start off slow. I think Trey Lance, I think, is going to pan out. I think when he reaches his full, potential, I think he will be just fine. I think we're going to have a few. I think there's going to be growing pains. He's basically still, in some respects, a rookie in the fact that he's only had a few starts, only completed 57% of his passes last year in the starts that he did have. So I do think that there is a little bit. There's going to be a few growing pains, but once he works his way through those, I think we could see an electric second half of the year like we saw from them last year. Your thoughts on that as a whole?
Well, I think where most fans come from on this is like, look, the Niners made the playoffs last year in spite of Jimmy. Trey Lance can't be worse. So the NFC is down. The Niners are going to make the playoffs. And where I say is like, well, a lot of that is probably true, but um, look at it this way. Even if Trey Lance is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, is the rest of the team better than it was last year? Is the schedule harder than it was last year? I think the rest of the team has taken a step back. They're trying to get younger, not necessarily better at a lot of positions. And the schedule this year is brutal. So while the NFC is down, I think they're a wild card team at best, and they're going to be competing with franchises like Minnesota, Philly, New Orleans, Arizona, a lot of teams.
Let's talk about those other teams real quick too, because I know there's a lot of people high on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not one of them per se. I understand that they won, I think it was 3 straight games down the stretch last year to clinch a playoff spot in the NFC East, which was, I mean, we all know it's an up and down division. That said, though, I mean, you look at the teams they played; they didn't necessarily beat anybody good. They lost to the Chiefs, they lost to the Chargers, they got throttled both times by Dallas. To me, this is a team. Not to mention the fact, Jalen Hurts went 13 for a million against Tampa Bay in the playoff game. I understand they drafted well. They added AJ Brown. To me, this is a thing where I just don't necessarily believe in the quarterback. He finished 28th in completion percentage and 22nd in passer rating last year. So I think that just saying that a team who didn't necessarily beat anybody notable last season, just waltzing into the playoffs with a quarterback with those numbers, I just think it's a little bit. I think it's looking a little bit too much on the bright side of being a little bit too optimistic.
I think I disagree with you on Philly. I'm a little
Okay.
bullish on them. The reason I like them is I like Jalen Hurts on a rookie deal. I mean, I wouldn't say give
Sure.
him a big second contract, but on a rookie deal, he allows you to go get splurge on someone like AJ Brown, who I think is a real difference maker.
Oh yeah.
A big time. I mean, I was in Tennessee. He pretty much was the reason Tennessee won that game against the Niners. I mean, Debo Samuel was great in it. So was AJ Brown. That division in the NFC East is trash. So I think they have a chance to like be a wild card team. I do think they have a legitimate good chance.
All right, let's stick
They
with that
were
division.
last year, right? So I mean,
Yeah, they were last year. And look, I
yeah,
understand the fact that the
yeah,
roster did get better. They drafted
yeah.
well, and look,
But are they
maybe
a legit contender? Probably not.
yeah. I think
How
that their
many teams in the
ceiling.
NFC are legit contenders, Jared?
I
Tell
was
me
just
that.
about to say that too. I think it's the Rams. People can
Bucks.
be bullish on the Packers, but I think as long as Rodgers is there, they're going to be in
I'm
that
not.
conversation. I think that there's at most three,
Yeah.
two definitely with the Rams and Bucks, maybe Green Bay.
Maybe Green Bay. I'm almost saying like maybe Minnesota
You think-
because
Okay, I'm high on Minnesota. Are you that high in Minnesota this year?
I mean the division is. I mean Green Bay took a major step back
Yeah.
without Devontae Adams.
Zadarius Smith went to Minnesota as well, so staying in division.
Yeah, year 3 of Justin Jefferson. I mean, if they're ever going to do anything, it's this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a big Kirk guy though too. So
he's not bad. I mean, he's not great, but I think they should be able to make the playoffs with him.
Yeah, I mean, the past 2 years, 68 touchdown passes to 15 interceptions. I mean, that's a hell of
The
a
numbers are
ratio.
great with
Yeah,
Kirk. And he's going to have a way better system this year. He's going to go
yeah,
back to the Rams McVay system that he thrived in
yeah,
Washington. It could work. That's the big point there. Like, forget you, Mike Zimmer. At least someone like competent on offense can coach this team.
right. And that's the thing too. Like with Minnesota, all the changes that are happening with them. I mean, you look at their roster, and I know there's a lot of people who make the argument, like when I said, my bit about the 49ers, they have such a great roster. How can they miss? The Vikings got a damn good roster, too. I mean, they've got the skill position guys. Now, defensively in the secondary, that was kind of their Achilles heel. They brought back Patrick Peterson. Harrison Smith is still there, but these are older guys now at this point. So that is the one thing that I am a little bit skeptical about when it comes to them is the secondary.
I think they might win that division, though. I'm really skeptical of the Packers. You lose freaking Devontae Adams and replace him with Christian Watson.
Who's a big if. Big if.
Big if. What if he doesn't work out? What if he's a 3-year project? Wow. Good luck.
I mean, it could be something similar to where they drafted Amari Rodgers last year, and everybody was really high on that, and then he was just kind of a guy.
In that playoff game, it seemed like Aaron Rodgers would trusted Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and no one else. He wouldn't build the ball to anyone else.
Yeah.
And they lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, so I don't know about that team.
What do you think? Speaking of, what do you think of like the whole new Chiefs regime over there? Because I mean, they added Scantling, they obviously traded away Hill, but it's Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore. Like, it's a big. I agree.
I like Sky Moore, but I think this is what happens when you pay $50 million on a quarterback.
Sure.
And it's like no one's saying they made the wrong choice giving Patrick Mahomes this contract, but it's a cost of doing business. If you want to put all your eggs in the quarterback basket, you're not going to have the elite wide receivers. Unless they're on a rookie deal. You just won't. You can't afford both. They're too expensive. I think. Unless they made a bad choice and they could have kept both. It seems like you got to choose one or the other at this point. So Tyreek Hill goes to a team with a rookie quarterback. A quarterback on a rookie deal. Yeah.
You've seen that video of the Tua throw to Tyreek by now, haven't you? I feel like everybody on Twitter's seen that.
My first take was Tyreek had to slow down.
Yeah, it looks like he was fair catching a punt. Yeah.
They pretty much did. Were they trying to put that out there as like a hype video? Like,
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because it was like a Tua X cheetah and then like the rocket emoji or whatever.
They're going to try to use Tyreek Hill as like a yak specialist, and I'm not sure he can do that like Debo can. I don't think he can do that like Debo can.
What's going on with Debo, by the way, man?
What's going on with Debo, man? I think they're probably haggling over like $3 million, probably. Probably haggling over $3 million. I think the Niners thought they could probably save a couple million annually and not give him a ton. And that's probably how they do. I mean, Parag will take any win he can. So if he could have given Debo $23 million a year, he would have done it. And I think Debo's making sure he gets that $25 million a year. I think it's probably that petty, and people are picking sides between billionaires and millionaires, and they'll probably work it out, man. I mean, they'll probably work it out. It seems like everyone realizes the Niners just have to give Debo Samuel the A.J. Brown offer. So it'll happen in like 2 months, 2.5 months.
I was just about to say both those guys are rep by the same people. So I mean, I feel like those things definitely factor into one another.
It's not like Tory Dandy's going to take less for Debo. I mean, why would he? It seems like Debo's going to have actually like $1 more than A.J. Brown.
The whole thing has just been catastrophic. The past year and a half, really, for 49ers fans has just been one ginormous whirlwind, hasn't it? Like, back to, Mac at 3, through everything to now. I mean, it's just been one never-ending saga.
It started off with, like, hey, the Niners might get Stafford. Remember that?
Oh, my, dude, I totally forgot. I was in Mobile with Jason and everybody once all that happened. By the way, seeing Jason Aponte react to that, one of the funniest moments of my life, I hope you know.
That's definitely a huge meme. So everyone thought they were going to get Stafford. I reported that Stafford thought he was coming to the 49ers. Stafford thought he was coming to the 49ers. Rams swoop in. Niners have this like plan B, like, okay, you got yourself a top 10 quarterback. We're going to get ourselves a top 5 quarterback and get Deshaun Watson, who passes like Drew Brees and runs like Lamar Jackson. But then, something happened with Deshaun Watson, and he had to go on ice for a year. 10 days later, they traded for the number 3 pick. So I do feel like they traded for that spot, not knowing who they were going to take, and that's why reporters were so confused. Was it Mac Jones? Was it Trey Lance? I don't think the Niners freaking knew when they traded up. I think they were like, "Damn, Deshaun Watson's not an option. We missed out on Stafford. What do we got to get up to number 3 and figure it out." We haven't even looked at these quarterbacks. Like, we didn't even go to the first pro day because we were trying to be sly. Like, no, we got to get this pick and figure it out. We have 2 months. A month. Yeah.
And that's one of the things, too, is that, people, and you referenced this earlier saying, okay, anybody can be better than Jimmy. I think that people are vastly misconstruing, like, horrible quarterback play with serviceable quarterback play that you're underwhelmed by. And I think that Jimmy much more falls into the latter than the
perfect description of Jimmy Garoppolo. Serviceable quarterback play that you're underwhelmed by. The Jimmy Garoppolo experience. I love that. Thank you. That was great. Perfect.
I try.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that's the big thing with me, man, is, like I said, I think that Trey does pan out. It's just when. It's a matter of when. Now, we're starting to get these, quote-unquote schedule leaks. I don't know, which one of them is real, which one of them are fake, so I'm just going to try to stay tuned a little bit out of those. But if they start off the season against a team like, if they get a stretch of the NFC South where they can go through Carolina and Atlanta, like through the first 4 weeks of the season, that's a hell of a big boost for them. Just for Trey Lance.
Absolutely. If they could get what they got last year, where they had Detroit and Philly back to
oh my God, yes,
guaranteed 2-0 start, which was one of the many reasons I thought the Niners should start Trey Lance last year. Is like, man, what a soft landing for a rookie quarterback. Anyway, that's in the past.
A soft landing, indeed it is. But yeah, man,
with his luck, he'll probably get the Rams week 1, or Tampa Bay, or Denver, or Kansas City.
I'm seeing rumors that it's going to be Rams-Bills week 1 to open up the season, which would be fantastic.
I love that.
With
so they're going to try to pick a game
Collinsworth?
that they think could be like the Super Bowl preview. Well, the Niners won't be in that.
I think so. Yeah, I think that seems to be what they tried to do. Is like some sort of either conference championship game preview or Super Bowl preview. Last year it was Bucks Cowboys, which both teams ended up being playoff teams. Obviously, you know how Dallas' season ended.
Good call. They should just run back the Kansas City Buffalo game. Come on.
That would be lovely. Instead of playoffs, let's just do a best of 7 series of that.
Yeah, pretty much. That was the best game in the playoffs last year by far.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of the AFC, I mean, we talked about this in the lobby. I mean, I'm live in Pittsburgh. I'm a Steelers fan. I had a borderline aneurysm on draft night when they decided to take Kenny Pickett with their first pick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just give them the benefit of the doubt. I feel like they're a very sensible drafting team, and they've been doing things like the same way for like 50 years. So I can understand. I feel like from their perspective, look, like it's the 20-something pick. Yeah. They didn't trade up for him. They needed a quarterback. It's a flyer. I mean, you're probably not going to get a starting quarterback in round 2 or round 3. It's got a chance. I guess that's how they would sell it. What do you think of it?
I think that they took a guy who played in the worst conference in the Power 5, was there for 5 years, and was good for one of them. That's how I viewed it.
From Rich Gangarella's perspective, multi-year starter.
Is that
elevated that program to new heights?
Nathan
Peterman had success there.
The more I get infatuated with 49ers Twitter, the more I realize everybody just the disdain for Rich Gangarello, just of that entire fan base.
He's like, man, it's like he was like a double agent. He was like working against the 49ers the whole time while he was here. I don't know, it feels like it.
So like rumors that he wanted Mac Jones instead of Trey Lance, I feel like that's something that's starting to become a thing.
When he talks about what he wants in a quarterback, it seems like he's describing Mac Jones, not Trey Lance, pretty clearly. Do you want the guy who can run around and throw deep, or the guy who throws with anticipation? It's like, well, that was the debate last year, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole debate. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't know what to make of Mac Jones in New England right now. I mean, everybody's going to point to the fact, all right, he was a Pro Bowler, they went to the playoffs, but like Mitch Trubisky did that too once, and he kind of phased out. I just feel like Mac Jones has a low floor, or a high floor, but a very low ceiling.
I think he already reached his ceiling.
I agree.
We've seen what we're going to get from Mac Jones. He's what did you say, serviceable?
Serviceable, yeah.
Hey, he's decent. I mean, he's got a total neutral.
You could do worse.
He makes Jimmy Garoppolo look like he's got a cannon. I'll say that. And once the weather turned, he was almost non-functional. I mean,
that game in the rain against Tampa Bay was unwatchable football.
Yeah. So I mean, the Niners could have just hung out at 12 and taken Mac Jones. I kind of like the idea of trying to aim higher. It's just that in retrospect, they really did give up the Deshaun Watson package for Trey Lance, which is hard to justify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when, right now there's a lot of... By the way, would you make of the Lombardo report, coming out saying, hey, these guys are kind of underwhelmed with Trey. What could...
I think it's kind of whack. Him and Chris Sims, like, kind of citing people who said something, who might have seen something, like, I don't know, like, I was there. I wasn't underwhelmed, and I was actually quite encouraged. I don't see how you can...
Which was the general consensus last year, like camp and mini camp, by the way. Yeah.
Like, I don't see how you could look at Jimmy Garoppolo flailing around, throwing an interception a day, and then look at Trey and be like, that guy's just not good. Now, if if the expectation is, well, they traded 3 first-round picks, so this guy is going to be freaking John Elway, then no, I didn't see John Elway. I didn't see Patrick Mahomes, but I saw a guy who was quite encouraging for a rookie and, in my opinion, better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's what everybody is seems to think on the 49ers tour. And look, I think once he finds his own, I think he is going to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I want the schedule to release so bad just so we can kind of pinpoint where we can see this turnaround happen. And look,
go ahead.
I don't see a situation where he comes out, first year starter like Patrick Mahomes did, and throws 50 touchdowns and they just waltz all over everybody.
They're not going to pass.
I was going to say they are going to run it 30 times a game.
Oh, they're going to lead the league in rushing attempts. They're going to try to.
Oh yeah, I bet that. Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
I think he'll do better than what Josh Allen did his rookie year, which the bar for that is 10 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He'll be better than that.
I think so. Better team around him.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think he's going to be Justin Herbert either. There's a fine middle ground between those two.
Right. He doesn't really seem like the bombs away type. Like, he didn't even throw that much in college. I think he's going to be a game manager, like in a sense that even Jimmy isn't a game manager. He just is limited. Jimmy is turnover prone. I think you're going to see a very cautious, safety first quarterback who knows when to throw the ball out of bounds and check it down. A guy who can avoid sacks and not make bad plays worse, which is the thing that kills me about Jimmy Garoppolo. I think we'll see him do all, even though he lacks experience. It's what he did in college. I don't think he's going to force things, but I do think he'll give you big plays. He'll scramble for first downs. He'll throw for big. I think it's going to work. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback next year. I think he's going to be a net positive on this team. But I base it on what? Nothing? Nothing. Essentially.
This is a gut feeling and crossing our fingers.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I do think that he's going to be an eventual net positive as well. I think when you look at what he brings to the table, obviously there's more there physically, mechanically than Jimmy.
Yeah. And I'm not sure he could do the Jimmy Garoppolo offense where you just put him in the shotgun and ask him to make a bunch of quick one-read throws. He throws really hard. He doesn't have a lot of touch. Doesn't have the quickest release. Maybe that's not his game. He can do some of it. But once you get him under center in the play-action rollout game, it's going to be really hard to stop that stuff. And then just the addition the quarterback run element adds to their already great run game is going to be big. I mean, just those two things, play action and the quarterback added to the run game, it's going to be huge for this offense. Passing's like third down the list. And no, he's not going to have as high of a completion percentage as Jimmy. Of course not. Jimmy's 67 or 68. This guy's going to be at like 60 at best. Although in his last start he was at 70. But really, we don't expect that. But I do think the yards per attempt should be higher. Should be. Although his yards per completion last year was highest in the league because of Debo.
In terms of their defense and everything, I mean, they had Charvarius Ward from Kansas City. Overall, I mean, what do we make of this defense compared to what it was last year?
Well, their defense last year was interesting. It was like top 5 defense in the league, great pass rush, not good on third down. Mm-hmm. How? Well, because their corners are a bunch of guys that D'Amico didn't really trust and would have them line up 9 yards off the ball no matter what. 3rd and 4, line up way off the ball and don't get beat deep. So you saw him just get beat relentlessly on like stop routes on the outside by A.J. Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. And I think Charvarius Ward did a pretty good job against A.J. Brown. Was it last year? Might have been last year. So you need someone to stop that kind of an outside threat, someone who won't just concede the first down and actually play bump and run coverage. It's supposed to be Charvarius Ward. So we'll see. He committed a lot of penalties in 2020.
Grabby.
Very, man. And we just saw that with Josh Norman. So I wonder how many penalties he'll commit before D'Amico's like, you know what, Charvarius, just line up 9 yards off. At which point you shouldn't have paid for that. That's not what you're paying for.
Do you think they add a veteran to the defensive back room before the season
They
starts?
freaking should. I mean, James Bradbury's right there.
Yeah.
Is there any other team in the NFL that could create $25 million in cap space right now but just chooses not to, like the 49ers? Is there any other team? I don't think so.
I mean, for a while it was the Bears because they held on to Nick Foles. I don't think it was $25 million, but it was hefty.
It's just like the Niners could bring in another impact player, but they're like, nah, we don't want to do that because we kind of want to dial back spending. And even though we made it to the NFC Championship game last year, we easily could have missed the playoffs, so we're not going to overreact. Like, great. That's inspirational. Can you print that on a T-shirt? Let me buy that. I love that.
That should be on like an ugly Christmas sweater, like
exactly.
They do like those long prints things. I'd wear it. That's nice.
It's not like revenge tour. It's like, hey, yeah, we made it to the NFC Championship game, but we also could have missed the playoffs, and let's not overreact. And
it's we're just happy to be here tour.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think in terms of offloading Jimmy, I think this could be a situation. I think it's more likely going to be a situation where they just hope that somebody, as a starter, go down, and that drives up the value of Jimmy.
Good luck. Here's my thing with that. There's always going to be a cheaper, better option than Jimmy. So if a starter goes down, would you rather trade a pick for the right to give Jimmy Garoppolo $27 million, or would you just sign Nick Foles for $1 million? Or would you just trade for Baker Mayfield? There's always a better option than Jimmy. That's what the Niners haven't gotten their brains around. He's never going to be any team's number one choice. He was your number one choice at one point, and that's on John. But it's never going to happen again, man. I don't think it's ever going to happen for Jimmy again.
No, that's interesting. I didn't even take into consideration the fact that, if Cleveland also does the same thing, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Because, Baker's still cheaper than Jimmy Garoppolo is right now.
Yeah.
Nick Foles, you can get him for a veteran minimum.
Yes. So why would you do Jimmy's? No, it's not going to happen. I don't know what the Niners are thinking. I will give them a round of applause if they ever cut him. But the day they cut him, you're like, well, why didn't you do that 3 months ago? Which kind of paints him in a corner, right?
Yeah, especially for the development of Trey Lance, because I feel like, it's probably not great for him with this entire thing just looming.
No, I'm sure he loves it. Jimmy Garoppolo breathing down his neck. Keep him. That way, everyone starts chanting Jimmy's name after the first drive. Yeah, seriously. Terrible.
Oh my goodness, that's like having that was like when Denver started Kyle Orton over Tim Tebow, and everybody and their mother was just begging for Cleat Jesus to go in. My goodness gracious, that's funny.
And the problem is, it won't just be the fans that are saying that will beg for Jimmy Garoppolo the minute something goes wrong. It'll be a lot of the players in the team too. They don't want to lose. And they don't know why Jimmy Garoppolo wins. No one knows why Jimmy Garoppolo wins. No one knows why. Why is the sky blue? I don't know. Why does Jimmy Garoppolo win? He just does. So if he's still on the team, the Niners fans, players won't accept any adversity. Zero.
And that's the thing, too. Like, I feel like the wild card in this is still Carolina. I feel like if there's anybody that's going to be like, to hell with it, let's just do it, it's going to be them.
Yeah. They did say they're out of the veteran quarterback market, but who knows what that team? They don't seem to stand for anything.
It doesn't feel like Matt Rule's really. I don't think he'll be heartbroken if he's let go at the end of the year and can waltz his way back into a college gig.
He got a lot of money, right? So who cares?
Exactly.
He got a ton of money. It's all guaranteed. He's got Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Like that organization needs to just start over. It's terrible, awful.
I was the last believer in Sam Darnold too. So I was riding the Carolina Panthers bandwagon at 3-0 last year, just patting myself on the back.
You know who Sam Darnold is?
Who's Sam Darnold?
He's Jimmy Garoppolo with mobility.
Jesus.
If you watch Jimmy and you watch Sam Darnold on the All-22 and you try to figure out where the ball's supposed to, you realize man, neither of these guys know what the hell they're looking. They have no clue. They're just predetermining reads left and right, and they're in my opinion, two of the lowest football IQ quarterbacks in the league. Darnold and Jimmy. Just this is them looking at the defense.
I was so far on the Sam Darnold bandwagon. I wanted him to be traded to Pittsburgh last year, and then he got traded to Carolina, and I was like, oh, the sky is falling. The Carolina Panthers are going to be so good. And then the game against New England happened where he threw it to J.C. Jackson more than his own team.
Juju made that guy in retrospect. Juju.
At USC?
Yeah. Because the next year, he was
turnover prone his last year at USC, too.
Yeah. And everyone's like, well, he doesn't have as good of a team around him. True.
Can we say, what other team I'm really interested in? Washington. I'm infatuated with Washington. I do like Carson Wentz. And it feels like me and Orlovsky are the last two on the Carson Wentz train. So hopefully I can make up for my Sam Darnold.
I'll say something about Wentz. He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
I agree.
I've seen Wentz twice live in the last couple of years. And he was with Philly, and he came here and beat the Niners. And when he was with Indy, and he came here and beat the Niners. Both games, he looked good to me. Not great, but he takes shots down the field. He's a very confident quarterback, and I don't know. I appreciate it.
I'm clipping us praising Carson Wentz and just letting everybody go ham on Twitter. It's going to be great.
How bad is he? His numbers, if Jimmy Garoppolo...
27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year. What the hell is so bad about that?
If Jimmy did that, he would throw himself a parade. I'm serious.
I understand. I'm not going to be the person who goes and says, 2017 MVP. I think that after the knee injury, I think that part of him is gone. But, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. I understand the offense very much ran through Jonathan Taylor. But anytime he played poorly, it was very much put under a microscope, but anytime he played really well, everybody just pretended it didn't happen. Like the game against Arizona on Christmas, he was a very large factor into why they won that game. And the game against Tampa Bay, they almost run it.
For his career, he's got 140 touchdown passes and 57 picks. I mean, Jimmy,
that's ungodly. I think he's got 4 seasons that he's thrown exactly 7 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that was the guy. I mean, I think he's an interesting. I'm not sure that the Colts necessarily upgraded at quarterback. Matt Ryan's a little old. He can't freaking move.
That's the thing too. Like everybody points to the Jacksonville game at the end of the season. And look, should they have won that? Obviously, yes. Yes, they should have. But you know who else lost to Jacksonville? The Bills. Yep. You know who else? You know who played worse than Carson Wentz did against Jacksonville? Josh Allen. So. Exactly, and Justin Herbert played poorly against Houston. Last year was just weird. The Bengals lost to the Jets in their 9th quarterback and went to the Super Bowl. Like I feel like we put a little bit too much stock into that.
I mean, Carson Wentz, he's better than any quarterback from this draft. But so is Mitchell Trubisky. I mean,
very true. Are you on the Mitch train?
I'm not. I like Mitch coming out. He's a 1-year starter. I thought, in retrospect, it's one of the better Bears quarterbacks they've had in a while.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's not like he's had a lot of competition, but he's their only Pro Bowler since Jim McMahon in 1985.
I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, but he might be an effective starter. I wouldn't write him off.
I'd say like middle of the road, slightly lower tier starter.
Yeah, and
like
potentially cost effective.
Like diet Alex Smith almost.
Yes, absolutely. But again, instead of if you don't have Patrick Mahomes, why not get someone like Mitchell Trubisky and give him $2 million? Mm-hmm. Give him the Nate Sudfeld contract.
Just load up a roster, yeah.
Yes, because really a quarterback's just as good as his wide receivers anyway. I mean, I'm just saying, like Joe Montana is one of the greatest of all time, but Jerry Rice, Jerry Rice is considered the greatest player of all time, not Joe.
Sure, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
And the thing with building a roster like that, like the Steelers, I mean, they brought back 49ers legend Ahkello Witherspoon to be their starting cornerback. I was very happy with the way he played down the stretch last year. The 2 interceptions against Minnesota and that ungodly Thursday night game where if Pat Freiermuth had onto a ball, the Steelers would have completed a 30-point comeback.
Steelers are really good at getting DBs on the free agent market.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too. Yeah,
they're also great at drafting wide receivers. I admire every year they pick one in round 2. I'm like, well, that's the guy then. Guess that was the guy. What do you think of George Pickens?
I'm excited about that. Now he looks like. I saw the video of like him watching himself get drafted. I was like, oh no, they've got another goon. This is going to be just fantastic. But, you know, I mean, look, he sticks up for his guys. We saw that at Georgia. He's not afraid to get scrappy. And look, he's a damn good receiver. I think they should put Claypool in the slot because they've tried making him a downfield threat and he's just not good at it.
Yeah.
And the one game that they put him in the slot, that was when Juju hurt his shoulder against Denver and Claypool had his best game of the season. He had 7 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown. And they just decide... I know, I get it, but they just see that he's ginormous and assume that he's going to be a downfield threat, but he's much better suited for the slot. So if they wanted to put Pickens and Deontay Johnson outside and stick Claypool in the slot, I'm very okay with that.
So Pickens is like the new Martavis Bryant for them?
I hope so. I would love to see that. I miss Martavis Bryant every day.
I also like the Calvin Austin, the 3rd pick.
Dude, they're sneaky deep at receiver now because they also have Anthony Miller. They signed that Gunnar Olszewski guy from New England. He's just going to be a returner, but still, I mean, if something goes wrong, he'll be there.
Look, and Jerry, then they lost Ray McLeod.
Can I get on my soapbox about Ray McLeod real quick, man? Because for some reason, I think that Mike Tomlin just hates James Washington. I don't know what he did, but the fact that Ray McLeod was getting 3rd receiver snaps over James Washington, who is so much better. I think he's going to tear it up in Dallas, by the way. I think he's going to be a perfect replacement for what they've lost. Having Lamb, Gallup, and Washington. No, Gallup's not there anymore, is he? Am I going crazy?
Amari Cooper's gone. I forget.
Amari Cooper's gone. Yeah, I was going to say. I think Gallup's still there.
Yeah, I think so.
So Lamb, Washington, and Gallup, I mean, you can do a hell of a lot worse than that. I think he's going to do great in Dallas.
Yeah, I agree. But again, what the Steelers do is they just draft and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just keep replacing these guys at wide receiver. Yeah.
They also have Miles Boykin, too, who they signed after Baltimore. They've got, like, 7 receivers right now. I mean, not all of them are going to make the roster, but yeah, I mean they're deep too. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of them. AFC stacked.
What team will win more games, Niners or Steelers?
I think they're even. I think they both won 9. All right. I feel. What was the over under on the 49ers wins this season? Do you know at the top of your head?
10.5.
10.
9.5.
I think they set the Steelers at 7.5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they're low on Pittsburgh. I've seen what Mike Tomlin can do with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. I
Who
feel
was
like
the
I
last
can
time
get-
they had a losing season?
2003.
That sounds right. So
Yeah.
I probably
6 and,
picked the over on Pittsburgh.
went 6-10 the year before they drafted Ben with Tommy Maddox at the helm.
Tommy Maddox, man, because he tore it up in the XFL.
XFL
He did,
MVP
right?
Tommy Maddox. Well, they went
Yeah.
to the playoffs the year before with Maddox. They beat Cleveland in the wild card round and then got knocked out the next week by Tennessee, I believe. So,
Dang.
but yeah, no, Tommy Maddox had like a short-lived career revitalization in Pittsburgh.
He was great. He was great. All right, man. I got to run.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Fun,
let's
though.
let's wrap this up. This is fun to do. Thank you for doing this. It's been very fun doing it with you. I'm sure we'll do a few more of these down the road, especially once we
Sure.
get closer to the season, my friend.
Yeah, I got to have you on my channel, too.
Oh, by all means, I'm free whenever.
All right.
All right,
Sounds
buddy.
good.
Take
All right.
care.